Today we are doing lesson 18, triangle theorems. So we're going to start off with a warm-up to ignite your previous learning. So vocabulary, an angle that measures less than 90 degrees is a or an. Remember, this is a small angle, and a small angle is acute angle. Small angle is acute angle. So that's classify all, number 2 says classify all 3 angles of a right triangle. So if we have a right triangle, we're going to have one, it says right there in the name, we're going to have a right angle. We have one right angle, and then we have 2 acute. And number 3, it says, what kind of triangle is formed by 2 sides and 1 diagonal of a square? Well, we know that these 2 sides are going to be the same, and because it is a square, we know this is a right angle. So here we know we are classifying it based entirely on that. So we have a right. We have the 2 sides that are the same, isosceles. Is a right isosceles triangle. All right, moving on into the actual content. So we're going to start off by doing an exploration. So developing a triangle sum theorem. So in this exploration, we'll use patty paper to see the relationship between the measures of the interior angles of the triangle. So this says on a sheet of notebook paper, trace and label triangle ABC in theorem 18-1. This works for any triangle, so you don't necessarily need to do that. I made mine out of a piece of paper, so and I'll be using this later, but I wanted to do it on the board so we can see it a little bit better when we start. So that way my hand's not in the way. All right, so if we take on the patty paper, draw a line and label point P, place patty paper on that. So if we take this is just a triangle that I drew. If we turn this angle upside down, oops, why is that not coming in? Take this angle and it's coming in like that. And now we take this, the third angle, and we look at how that is connecting. It makes a straight line. So once again, you can make this out of any angle. If you have anything lying around that you can rip easily, like junk mail or something, you can do this where you take a triangle. It doesn't matter what the triangle looks like. It could be any triangle, and then you can rip the corners off. And when you put them on, you put all 3 angles together. Put all 3 angles of your triangle together, it will make a straight line. This paper is kind of curly. I guess it's too humid in here, but you can put the angles together and you can see that it makes 180. It makes a straight line. And that is, in fact, the triangle angle sum theorem. Triangle angle sum theorem. Angles of triangle have a special relationship, most basic relationship given by the triangle angle sum theorem. So that means that if you have triangle ABC, the measure of angle A plus the measure of angle B plus the measure of angle C is 180, because 180 degrees is a straight line. That is a straight angle. So now we have this using triangle angle sum theorem on the right side, in the right triangle. So here we have a right triangle. It is important that we notice that it is. So one of them is 90 degrees. So we have this, it says B is 35, and the right angle is at vertex A. Find the measure of angle C. So we know that we have, because it's a right triangle, and the triangle angle sum theorem says we can just add up all 3 triangles. So that's the measure of angle A plus the measure of angle B plus the measure of angle C is equal to 180. Well, we know that angle A is 90 degrees because a right angle is 90 degrees. So that is 90 degrees. We're using the substitution property of equality, plus measure of angle B, it says it's 35. So once again, we're using the substitution property of equality. So that is 35. And then we do not know the measure of angle C yet. But we know that all three of them add together to make 100. So we can combine our like terms. 90 plus 35, that is 5. 9 plus 3 is 12. Plus, we don't know what the measure of angle C is. But we know that this whole thing added together is 180. So now to get rid of a plus 125, we can subtract 125. We can subtract 125 because we have the subtraction property of equality. Now 125 minus 125 cancels out, left with measure of angle C is equal to 5 minus 0 minus 5. We can't do, so we need to regroup. We regroup one of our 8 tens into 7 tens and 10 ones. 10 minus 5 is 5. 7 minus 2 is 5. 1 minus 1 is 0. So the measure of angle C is 55 degrees. All right, so now looking ahead, it says use this figure to answer A and B. If x is equal to 50 degrees, determine the measure of angle T. So we're trying to find this angle here. So we have angle S, measure of angle S, plus the measure of angle R, plus the measure of angle T is equal to 180. Oh, ran out of space. We know that S, because it is labeled, is 60, so we can use a substitution property of equality. So that is 60 plus, now we can plug in X for measure of angle R, but we know that X is 50, so we can use the substitution transitive property to say that this ends up being 50. Plus, we don't know what the measure of angle T is, but we do know that the sum is 180. Now we can combine our like terms. 60 plus 50 is 110. Plus, we don't know what the measure of angle T is, but we know it is equal to 180. Now, once again, we want to solve this. So we are adding 110 to get rid of an add 110. We subtract 110. And whatever we do to one side of our equality, we have to do the other side. So we're using the subtraction property of equality, which says we can subtract 110 from this side. That is cancels out. Both with measure of angle T is equal to 0 minus 0 is 0, 8 minus 1 is 7, and 1 minus 1 is 0. So that means that if x is equal to 50, then the measure of angle T is equal to 70 degrees. Now B is asking kind of the same thing, except it is saying that x is 60. So we can do the exact same thing. We're using the exact same formula, except now when we're substituting in, we're using the substitution property. We can substitute in for 60 instead of our 60. So we take this 60 and we copy it over 60, because that's the angle we have. Plus, now the measure of angle R, instead of being 50, is now 60. Plus, we don't know what the measure of angle T is. Remember, we changed our variable, so we need to change. We don't know what it is. But we know this entire thing, the sum of these three angles, is 180. Now we combine our like terms. We have 60 plus 60 is 120, plus the measure of angle T is equal to 180. To get rid of an add 120, we subtract 120. Subtract 120 from both sides using the subtraction property of equality. Now 120 minus 120 is 0, so we don't have to write that. The measure of angle T is equal to 0 minus 0 is 0, 8 minus 2 is 6, 1 minus 1 is 0. So we have angle T equals 60 degrees.